Hello everyone, welcome to video recap for Lab 3, week 3. This is our last lab for Lab 3. So don't forget to write your lab reports with the 3 parts, and they is due next week. So let's see what's in the lab week 3. So the requirements for the week 3 is to translate the C codes to the assembly code. And this code is like this. So we read from keyboards 10 numbers and enter another occurrence value and search in this array and find how many numbers is repeated as the occurrence value. Print out the index number and at the finals print out the number of concurrency values. So the code is quite straightforward, so let's see how to do the in assembly. Okay, so the code is pretty long, and if you cannot see it clearly, don't forget to change your video setup to 720p. Okay, first grab all the strings from the code to write it here. So there's two parts you have to pay attention. The first part is you have to use the empty string or empty variable to separate each strings. Otherwise, the CPU will confuse and don't know where to stop. The second part is the X. So in the previous lab, the X is a predefined array, but for this question, we want to X as an empty array to save the values we entered. So you can define the X like this. So define an empty array in the memory. So later we can save it in this array. Okay, so this first part, the code is show you how to save the value we entered to the memory rather than to save it in the register. So first part is print some string and quite straightforward. I loaded the X address, and here we read from the keyboard and call the number 5 system call. Previously, we saved the value from 0 to T0 or T-type variables. But for this time, we just directly save it to the memory address, which is X0. For this case, for this example, I just gave you the one example to save one value. So let's see what the results looks like. Okay, I already loaded this file, so I just run it. So here's the one string and the type 1 value. I type 1, enter. And you can swap from the text to the data tab, and yeah, from the first the user data segment, you can find the value 1 you save here. So later when we want to use it, we can just load it from this memory. Okay, so this the first part. The code is the first part. If you think the video is too quick, you can just pause it and see the code clearly. Okay, so we extend the code to add the loop to make sure it can run to read the 10 values. Okay, the loop is looks like the same for the previous lab. So we go this really quick. So we put the label loop 1 and read from the keyboards, and then save it to the memory and check the boundary. For this time we have 10 numbers, so the boundary is 9, 0 to 9. So 9. If it touches the boundary, we go to the go on 1. So right now the go on 1 is empty. It's for the future extension, and if not touch the boundary, we go to the loop 1 to loop again. Okay, so this is the added code here, and let me show you what's the result. So for this case, we can read from the keyboard for 10 numbers. So run it, and so I run 10 numbers, and then swap from the text tab to data to see. Okay, from here, from 1 to A. So this 10 numbers is just I entered and that is saved in the memory. So the reason why we want to use the memory to save the value because the register is pretty cherished and it's limited. So if we use the T0 to T9 to save these variables, to save these values is kind of waste. So we use the memory to save the value. Okay, after we save the value, so the last part is difficult. We extend the go on one. So first we just read the concurrency value. This is still enter from the keyboard, and I save it in the S3. And then I print some strings. Here I reload the X, but this is redundant actually because the X is already loaded previously. But for better for understanding, I just load it again. And in case you forget, so let me stop here a little bit. You can pause and enter the code. Okay, so in case you forgot the variables I saved, here's some notes. So right now the iteration I variable is in the S0, the X value in the S1. The count variable is in the S2, and the occurrence value is in S3. So we start from the second loop 2. So we read from the array first and save the values in the T0. Exactly the same with the previous lab. And here we check whether the value is equal to the occurrence value or not. So we use the subtraction. With subtraction, the value in the array and the value in the occurrence value, and check the results is whether equals to 0 or not. If it's equal to 0, so which means we find the value. If not, we jump to the go on to. Okay. So if not, if it's the value we found, we print the index number as 0. And then the count value plus 1. Okay. So then go to the go on to is check the boundary. The boundary is still 10, and it's the same thing. Okay. So after this loop, we find all the values equals to occurrence value. And for the done, we print the count value at last. So that's the whole code. Let me show you the final results. I gave you a big picture. So the first step, I randomly enter 10 numbers. And enter the number I want to read. Okay, here's a typo. Okay, so here's another one. Look, for example, if I want to find the number 1, enter. Okay, so it's automatically find. Here is the index number 0, 3, 6, 8 ones, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4. Totally, there are 4 ones I found. So that's the result. Okay, if I run it again, so let me run it again to. Okay, run it again to type in the array numbers. For this time, I just randomly give you another number. And I want to look for 4. So this time the 4 is only have 3 4s there. So it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 9. Okay, so that's the index number. So that's correct. Okay, so here's the final results. And as usual, give me your final code, and the console window. Use your own random number to test it. Okay, please pay attention to this. Your own random number. Don't use the demo I gave you. Okay, and your code have the screenshot. This is the third part of the Lab 3. Okay, so this is the final video recap for the Lab 3, and don't forget to submit your lab report next week with 3 parts in it. Okay, 3 screenshots, 3 parts. Thank you so much, and I'm pretty appreciate for everyone to watch our video recap, and thank you so much. See you next time.